I am Kawita, a video and performance artist based in Bangkok, Thailand. Well, I view my artistic journey as a sort of research and lifetime development in which I wish to seek for the true meanings of life, for this truth that is behind and beyond tradition, beyond definitions of things, and beyond image in which the society is trying to project for us all to see. Performing Textiles is actually a very important series of mine. I think that is a start of this whole very, very deep research and journey. It's a start of this artistic practice that could eventually lead to a repetitive protest of mine or a repetitive movement of mine in which I wish for the audience to see, for their minds and thoughts to be shifted and shaken, for them to think that, oh, actually they're a part of this global issue, they're a part of this corrupted and broken system in capitalism. There are two works within the Performing Textile series in which I would like to explain a little bit further. The first one is Die, which is exhibiting at Hamburger Bahnhof in Berlin. So Die is where I turn my body and replace my hair with these white yarns. My body is being turned upside down, and there's an invisible person who's using his or her force that is pushing my face to be drowned. And they're putting my body up and down non-stop for about 8 or 9 minutes or so until the moment that I can't take it anymore. And there's another work which is called Knit. Knit is the human knitting machine where I act as the needle within the middle of the machine. And this needle is sort of knitting all these poles around the circular machine in order to create this red circular fabric. The hidden story, which is from Greek mythology, which inspired me to do this work. This story is about Arachne. So Arachne was a weaver within this village, and she was very skillful. She was very talented. The way that she created work was sort of criticism as an artwork, as an art piece. There was this one work where she made beautifully, but also very powerful, and she spoke about the Greek gods, talk about the glories of their life, but also how they like to abuse their power. So they use their power to abuse the people who are ruled by them. So Athena, the Greek god, was so furious, and so she came down and she punished her, and she processed her and turned her into an evil spider, which has to knit itself to protect its life for their whole life. So that's the story. And this story is being told again and again to children. If you don't obey the ruler, you'll be punished. And so children who think of Arachne, they would think of her as monster spider. So I think I would like to use this story to re-question it again, retell the story again about a human being, a person, turned into spider and knitting to protect her life forever in eternity, just because she was telling someone the truth. So what is Performing Textiles? I watched this documentary on Netflix, which is called The True Cost. And The True Cost talked about the fast fashion industry, which is with mass production, high supplies, high demands, which makes people consume and consume. In return, it's exploiting the laborers and the female workers behind the scenes, and especially the cotton farmers behind the scenes as well, physically, mentally with harsh treatment, and also financially because they don't give enough wages. After watching the true cost, I realized that, well, in fact, my law and justice family is also specialized in labor exploitations and human trafficking. So I started with asking for documents, for statistics, for files, anything that could relate to human trafficking and labor exploitation cases in Thailand. From that information, I started to call organizations that are helping these laborers and also speaking to factory owners, brand owners, economists, as well as farmers within different communities around the world who are telling me and discuss about what is the core of this structural problem, which is mass production. But what is behind that? What are they trying to do to actually fix the problem? And are there any alternative solutions to this corrupted system? The special thing about performing textile is the fact that it's not about my own voice and what I try to interpret from the documents that I've found, but actually by sharing these ideas with these workers or brand owners who are trying to fix the problem, and with farmers within the communities, we're gathering also artistic ideas in order to represent these ideas and narrate the stories of their lives to the audience. After that, I would collect those interviews and ideas and speak to my team about, okay, this is what the story is and how we're gonna narrate it. So it's not just about our ideas, so it's more correct actually. My team would gather together. We speak about different interviews, we speak about different ideas, and then we come up with visual language within the moving image. Actually, red is the key color within Performing Textile series. You see that in every work, from spinning wheel, from dye, shuttle, print, and knit. I use red as the main key, as the yarn, as the chemical dye, because red represents violence, how these garment workers are facing violence towards them every single day. It represents flesh and blood, how every time that they come out to protest, they're with their flesh, with their bodies, with their voices, they're being pushed back, they're being shot, being stopped. But it also represents a sense of power, so a power of voices of these people who gather together to speak together about the issue and trying to fight for this system to be better, fight against this corrupted and broken system.
It's new now.
Once we finalize that image, that exact visual language, we would speak to the construction workers about, okay, how do we build up the ideas from what we've been brainstorming into life? And then that comes to the studio part. My studio is a very open air space. It's like a transformer, so it can be transformed into many, many things. It could be transformed into farms, it could be transformed into factory, for example. By speaking to the construction workers about the ideas, they would discuss the ideas with me as well. We see these people as artists too. So we discuss that, okay, if this works or if it doesn't work, and how could we make it work? After the construction is finished, I speak to my team about my process. How do I perform? How do I narrate those voices of the garment workers or the farmers into life correctly?
ไม่หมายถึงอันนี้สองอันไม่คนละอันอันนี้สองอันหันหน้าออกจากกันก็จะสวย
I like to say, and I think that it's important to say that I should not claim that I understand and I truly feel what they feel. What they're facing and dealing with is every second of every day within their life. So my performance, the aim of my performance is to only sense a glimpse, a second of how they feel, that glimpse of being objectified, that glimpse of being dehumanized. And that glimpse is the purpose of the whole performance. So first of all, when I enter my performance, I would enter it as myself, as my identity. But then I would challenge myself. The challenge is how to turn the body into a repetitive working machine. And then through that process of trying and convincing myself that I am that object, I am that machine, my body and mind is being confronted continuously with violence, nonstop, until the body and mind is sort of being crushed. I think it reaches a state of numb. The body doesn't feel the pain anymore. Somehow, I reach a state of powerlessness. So I have to use a lot of power in order to reach a sense of powerlessness. And that powerlessness of the body and mind reaches a state of emptiness. So the body is only a coverage, is only an envelope of nothingness. And that's when I lose a sense of self. I'm not a human anymore. I'm a non-being object. Well, I've always believed and said and have created performative works that symbolizes my personal motto, that art is for everyone, that art should be taken outside of the art world to other industries, to other audience, to the mass audience. I think it started with my project earlier, the Fairy Gallery, in which I turned a public fairy into an art gallery, in which for the public audience who haven't seen art before, and that's video art and that's sound art, for them to see and understand the issues of the world. That's been my main mission ever since. I think that art should be taken outside of the art world because it's about everyone. Everyone should see art and should realize that actually this is about them all. They are the key to fix the problem. They are also the key that is creating the problem. My family, who are lawyers, believe that law is the key to change the society. They believe that by developing and by adjusting and changing the law could eventually turn the society for the better. And this is the key word for them, to render justice for everyone. But I think that if the human mindsets are not being changed, because we're still sort of being fooled by the society. And so if our behaviors does not change, then there's no meaning behind changing the law itself. I think people don't realize how powerful art can be, how a visual language could shift the people. Art is that role. Art is the role that goes with the law and changing the society together with the law. And sometimes by changing the society when the law has not changed yet, the society and the culture and this new mindsets and these new beliefs and this new truth could also eventually become this massive protest that could eventually rewrite the law. That's what I believe about art.